Welcome to Uncanny X-Minutes, where we bring you the comics behind the movies. I'm producer James.
And I'm Saja.
We're watching X-Men Origins: Wolverine, minutes 80 through 90.
Would you like to know what happens?
What happens?
Stryker betrays everybody, obviously.
Just everybody.
Every single person.
Oh, you in the scene? I betray you.
Yes. Wolverine frees the mutants. Not Deadpool shows up and fights Wolverine and Sabretooth.
He's not Deadpool.
I mean...
He's not Deadpool.
Listen.
Stasia.
If that was Gambit,
Stasia.
this is Deadpool.
It is Wade Wilson. It is not Deadpool.
Okay, I can accept that.
Not my Deadpool. He's Weapon 11.
Which we know is not true in the comics.
No, it's not. And oh boy, there's a whole bunch going on there.
Yeah. I do know Rob Liefeld intended for him to be Weapon 11.
Well, Rob Liefeld intends a lot of things.
That's fair, but I feel like...
That wasn't the first time his name pops up in my research.
Really?
Intending on one thing and it just not being true after the fact.
Poor Rob Liefeld.
Bless him, dude. But he's one of those creators I feel like takes a lot of liberties and then isn't happy when nobody takes them.
Yeah. It's really interesting because, like, here's the thing. Like, Liefeld is, like, notorious. And, like, there were definitely... Like, I will never forgive him for what he did to, like, the New Mutants, right? But he also invented Cable, which is my favorite character. So it's like, I have mixed feelings. And I think generally for good, I think.
You can like the art in the comic book form, maybe not even his art. You can like the art and not like the artist.
I actually don't have a problem with Rob Liefeld as far as I know, unless maybe there's something I should be concerned about.
I think it's more, for me, it's more the thing where it's like, this whole endeavor of making comic books is a team effort. You have to recognize what's come before, what's come after. You have to let go. You know, like you have to let go of your character and other people are going to play with your toys and you got to let that happen and let them also do their own thing.
It's tough. It
is tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you think he would have after he like left Marvel, but
he keeps coming back and then saying he's leaving again. But anyway, I digress.
Sorry.
We do have a bunch of in this 10 minutes. We mentioned that a bunch of mutants got freed. And so these are a bunch of like Cyclops gets kidnapped partway through this movie. He shows up here with a bunch of other mutants and none of them are really official, but we have some like real good guesses on who they are. One is Emma Frost, which is called out by name Emma.
Yes.
And she has diamond skin.
Yeah.
Which then gets undone in the next movie.
It's a different Emma.
That's the best I can come up with.
Really,
because she's Emma Silverfox, I guess.
Yeah.
Because she's Kayla's sister.
Right. Yeah. And you pointed this out, that she doesn't seem to have psychic powers here.
Correct. They don't show psychic powers that I know of.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the voice in Scott's head would probably go in her head instead. Right? What else did we see? We saw someone who's probably Quicksilver.
Yeah, well, he's strapped in, moving really fast.
Vibrating as fast as possible.
Could theoretically be North Star, but...
Could be. They are in Canada.
Yes, could be, but
he's very
more
blonde.
Likely, Quicksilver.
There was somebody who looked like Toad.
Yes, there was a Toad. There was a ice lady.
There was an ice lady, and I can't figure out who that might be at the time.
Either. There is the new character who's Luna Snow, who's like a K-pop artist that has snow powers, but she's from 2018, so that's much later.
Yeah, much later.
So if you think that's her, it's actually not. She's much newer. So don't know who that could have been.
No.
And maybe they just wanted snow powers, but like didn't want to obviously put Bobby Drake in because then you would have had to explain why he didn't recognize Wolverine.
And the ages are way off. Not that that will matter.
Too.
Not that will matter going forward at all. But at this point, maybe.
Yeah. Also, like shouldn't Cyclops?
The Cyclops ages. I don't think right.
Right, and also Cyclops should know Wolverine. No, his eyes are covered.
His eyes are covered the whole time.
The whole time. Anyway, the twins. We see two girls who are twins. I have a guess. I think it might be the St. Croix twins, which are
Monet's sisters.
Yes, Claudette and Nicole, who fuse and pose as
they Dragon Ball fuse.
They legitimately
and turn into Monet.
Because they like banished empath, their brother, and this red creature. Anyway, doesn't matter. We don't know time.
Really, the only female twins we could think of.
Yeah, because a lot of the twins are fraternal, like boy-girl twins. A lot of those. Weirdly,
we had a list, and we're just not going to go through it because I've got other lists today.
Yes, I'm ready to hear about Weapon Plus.
And then Riptide. There's one that's like a little tornado.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I think that's about it.
That was the weirdest one to include. But I feel like that I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's like, what like
visible
effects
powers
do we have that we can just put on this wall or whatever? So,
yeah, that is what it felt like.
Yeah.
Anyway, Weapon 11 is Deadpool in this movie.
Yes.
And he does call him by the name Deadpool in this movie at one point. And it is more of sense of like pooling powers together.
Strange.
Which isn't where the name comes from in the comics, but we'll get into that when we get the Deadpool movie.
Oh, okay.
All right. So don't worry about
that. A little
teaser. So we've talked about Weapon X. Up until New X-Men number 128, we get introduced to Phantom X. And in his first run in New X-Men, we learn that Weapon X is actually part of a bigger program called Weapon Plus. Mm-hmm. The Weapon Plus program started in World War II, and Weapon X is just the 10th version. So it's not X, it's 10.
Right.
But everyone calls him Weapon X. So it's funny that we're not doing that anymore. It was 10 all along. Just run with it. So Phantom X approaches the X-Men and is like, "Hey, I need your help with Weapon 12." And then they fight Weapon 12. Doesn't really matter. I'll go into what all the weapons are. You find out Phantom X is actually Weapon 13 at the end of that arc. We then get introduced in his next appearance to the World. Do you know of the World?
Yes, I do know of the World.
It's not to be confused with the Vault.
Yes.
But they're very similar.
Yes.
The World is a man-made structure that has its own like time dilation, essentially. Like they created their own little world that they can speed up time and sort of evolve themselves. They can evolve
exactly like the Vault.
Test subjects. Except for with this one, it's using what they could make of a super soldier serum and Sentinel technology.
Right. Yes.
The Weapon Plus program originally was more of like creating the perfect soldier, and as time has gone on, they have changed who the foe is. So as it gets later and later, it becomes not fighting other countries, but fighting mutants.
Yeah.
So everything past, I don't even remember what number. Like when they start fighting mutants.
Yeah, I think is it Phantom X? Is it? There's a number really close right after Wolverine, basically. There's like a very close number to Wolverine that is then when they switch to mutants.
I think, so they start experimenting on mutants in New X-Men number 130. Phantom X actually and I quote, he starts describing the Weapon Plus program. They were trying to create supermen to fight future wars. That's how it all began. Weapon 0 was classified. I was a volunteer. Weapons 2 through 3 were animals. 4 to 6 used various ethnic minorities. Then they found the ideal subjects for the 7 trials onward. Kidnap mutants, the scum of the earth. So it was number 7 on is what they said in that issue.
7 on, okay. I don't think when they were kidnapping mutants, they were necessarily using them against mutants specifically.
No, right. But they were starting
point
to.
After, that. I think it's after Wolverine.
It probably was after Wolverine.
Whoops, we made really dangerous mutants.
Yeah. So this is all in like early 2000s. So Weapon X has been around for decades in the comics, and now we're starting to retcon more of the Marvel universe into the X-Men universe. The World mostly becomes important in Phantom X stories. And Phantom X is weird, and I will get to him in a minute.
Phantom X spelled F-A, not P-H.
Yes, you're right. It is F-A-N.
Anybody at home is looking this person up.
The retcon, like there's a Assault on Weapon Plus story where it's Phantom X, Cyclops, and Wolverine invading the world and getting information about Wolverine's backstory. In that, we start getting an info dump, and then from that point on, that's when people have started to be like, we can start filling these weapon holes as best we want.
Yeah.
So, Weapon 1 is Captain America.
Wait, what about Weapon Zero that was classified?
There is a Weapon Zero. His name is John Steele.
Okay. Oh, is that the Captain America story, Red, White, and Black?
No, that is, what's his face? I think that's Isaiah Bradley.
That's Isaiah Bradley, you're right.
Weapon Zero is part of the Marvel's Project storyline, like run.
Oh, interesting.
I started reading it and it was fine. It's one of those things where they weren't writing a Weapon Plus story. This is what they're referring to when they say this is before Weapon 1.
Got it.
So Weapon 1 is Isaiah Bradley and Captain America, but they mostly just say it's Captain America because that's the one that everyone.
Yeah.
Because I think Isaiah Bradley was before Cap, technically.
Yes, but I'm not surprised that the X-Men people got confused.
This is
or if
from.
it was retconned.
I was gonna say this is from the Weapon Plus files.
Okay.
Which, whatever, it's fine. So that's Weapon 1. Weapon 2, they said, were animals. And there's 2 sets of animals I found.
I know one of them.
that I found in. So what's the one?
Wolverine, right?
That is correct.
The squirrel Wolverine that has like the gear and the claws, and it's super cute. I don't know anything about him.
He's a little Weapon X.
Yes.
But as a squirrel.
Okay. I'm convinced this is why Wolverine and Squirrel Girl, like, went before they aged her down, know each other. I'm convinced.
Sure. Maybe. There is a crossover between Unbeatable Squirrel Girl and Howard the Duck. So it's all jokes, but any any research you do still includes Wolverine. So it's canon.
It's canon.
As far as I'm concerned. A rich cosplayer was capturing animal creatures, including Beast, to hunt. And one of them was Wolverine. And they refer to it as Weapon 2. There is another group, though, that is included in Weapon 2. A little more like solidified canon within normal comics, and that's Brute Force.
No clue about this one.
You shouldn't know about Brute Force because they are like a short run 80s comic about a bunch of animals in robot suits.
Okay, yeah, no way.
They got brought back recently in an Infinity comic and in a Weapon Plus story with Weapon 4.
Okay.
It was like the second half of the comic was them. And it's one of those that like, this is totally an 80s, like they were trying to make toys.
Yeah.
They looked like toys. Jeez. It's like a kangaroo, a bear, a dolphin, an eagle, and I might be missing one, and a lion.
Okay.
That's your Brute Force. And they can talk. But they're basically animals in like suits. Anyway, going back to the Squirrel Girl Howard the Duck crossover, there actually is a reference to a Grant Morrison comic called We Three, which is about a dog, a cat, and a rabbit in a similar situation where they're put in robot suits and then used as weapons. Huh. The cat is in
Brute Force?
No, it's in the Squirrel Girl issue.
Oh.
But We Three is a Vertigo book, which means it's owned by DC.
Huh.
So it is not specifically said it's We Three, but it's absolutely We Three.
Good to know.
Ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. Weapon 3 is the Skinless Man.
I have heard about the Skinless Man.
You'll mostly find him in Uncanny X-Force, which is the Remender run with Phantom X.
Yeah.
And he is a man who's got like elastic skin and gets flayed and then can move his muscles instead. It's gross.
He's really gross.
He's real gross. That run is a little gross.
Yeah. It is very like, the Skinless Man reminds me a lot. It's like very Jack the Ripper style. Like it's very serial killer-y coded. Yeah. Like it's up to you if you like that stuff.
Weapon 4 is basically the research that created Man-Thing.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Okay, so 4 is Man-Thing.
Yeah. So if there is a story called like Weapon Plus World War 4, and it's about Project Sulfur, it's called, and it's the research that led him. So it's like a different. I think it's technically a different Man-Thing.
Oh, is it?
I think so. I don't think it's Ted.
Really?
From what I was reading, it didn't seem like it was Ted because he was a soldier.
Okay, so that's not Ted then.
I don't think that was Ted. So Weapon 5's a little weird because it involves symbiotes. You rolled your eyes so hard, and I wish you could hear it.
I tried not to. I just can't. This is my number one problem with Spider-Man comics.
Right. There's another Weapon Plus book called Absolute Carnage, and they show that this was a thing, and it's... I just don't even want to get into it. The only interesting symbiote soldier fusion is Agent Venom.
Okay, I've heard about
Flash
Agent
Thompson,
Venom.
a super Spider-Man fan, was a soldier, lost his legs. They bound Venom to him and were able to control him pretty much.
Okay.
Best version of Venom in my head.
That makes sense. Yeah.
My preferred. Like,
Venom.
I really liked that run. Weapon 6, Luke Cage.
Yes. Okay, here we go.
Honestly, not much short of like one page I found on one book that showed the number 6 and his tiara.
Yeah.
And I think that was it.
It's because it's not really...
They're trying to combine more.
Yeah.
So they're like, yep, it was 6.
It's hard to... It's hard to say. I haven't read a ton of Luke Cage, but I read some of those comics. But I'm trying to figure out what they would have done. Because I know a lot of his powers are...
It was an experiment.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah,
So like they're... Okay. So like that makes sense then. So that experiment is not just a regular experiment. It was like part of Weapon Plus or whatever.
Right. I think that's what they're saying, which is the part of the problem with looking up Weapon Plus stuff is that now they're starting to just like grab the toys they want and say, oh, this always belonged to Weapon Plus.
Right. Like, I mean, if this is the thing, right? Is if you ever had like any single comic panel where it was like an experiment went wrong, which is like half of the Marvel universe, you could just be like, and secretly behind those scientists, even the scientists didn't know it was Weapon Plus. Like, who cares?
It's the Romulus of experiments.
Well, we're going to talk about Romulus. Presumably, he's got some effect on this too.
I think he probably has more to do with 7, which has to do with creating cyber.
Yeah.
And also Nuke, which is more of he's more of a Captain America villain.
Yeah.
So it's creating super soldiers in a different way. 8 was a big question mark. The only thing that has been said was they were experimenting on criminals and psychopaths, but there's no like characters of note that came out of 8.
An empty spot for someone to fill.
Exactly. Someone crazy. Someone crazy. Weapon 9 was supposed to be Deadpool.
Okay.
But later became Typhoid Mary.
Love Typhoid Mary. I think she's so interesting.
Project Psyche. But yeah, according to Liefeld, it was supposed to be Wade Wilson, which then you couldn't do any of the stuff they ended up. I like him after Wolverine.
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to be 11. I didn't know he was supposed to be 9. That's interesting.
With 11, so this is the other one. So so obviously with 10,
Wolverine.
10's Wolverine,
Weapon X.
And then Weapon X goes off and does a bunch of other things, including X-23, which we'll get into later. 11, according to Liefeld, was supposed to be Garrison Kane, or just Kane. But once again, no official person has been 11. So Weapon 11 from the movie, closest we got.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Right. All right. So then we're at Weapon 12, and this is what the new X-Men storyline is. And he's referred to as the Huntsman, and Weapon 12 was released in like a subway tube, and it sort of takes over the minds of a bunch of people. And the X-Men the X-Corps have to go take care of it. And Phantom X knows that it's a problem and is like, no, we got to go I've got the information about Weapon Plus right here on a floppy disk. If you help me take them out, I'll help you out. And turns out he's a big liar. And that's one of his powers is he's a big liar. Phantom X is weird. And
Can you, for the listeners at home, Phantom X is a weird one.
He is super weird.
What
and
are
I love it.
his powers specifically?
So I want to describe him first because
that's even better.
Wears like all white in the new X-Men. He gets like more ornamentation in like Uncanny X-Force. He gets a little like black stripes and stuff. But he wears all white, trench coat, leather suit, and like what looks like a ski mask. So you only see his eyes. His mutant ability is having an external nervous system. So your eyes are so wide.
I'm like realizing how little I know about Phantom X.
So when his mutant ability started to show, he basically, something popped out of his mouth. Like a little orb popped out of his mouth, and he fed it food. It's kind of like, it almost feels like a maggot situation. Mm-hmm. And the more he fed it, the bigger it grew, and it becomes his spaceship. So you know that, like,
Yes.
it looks like Saturn. It looks like a planet with a ring, and it's got like little legs that come out, and its name is Eva, EVA, and it is his transport / external nervous system, and it's techno-organic.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. He does have a healing factor. It's not as powerful as like Wolverine or Deadpool's. He can create hypnotic illusions, which he often refers to as misdirection.
Okay.
And it's always how he calls it. He calls it misdirection. And it's one of those things where you don't realize it's happening till a panel later, and you're like, oh man, he did it again. Mm-hmm. You know, he's also, this says cybernetic mind, but the only thing they describe is that he has like psychic blocks. And I don't know if it's supposed to be his hat, like his mask, because he won't take the mask off, or if it's actually like part of his powers. And then he's also like, he's a pew pew guy. He just shoots, and he belongs on a Weapon X team.
Yeah,
at that
he's
point.
like an X-Force type.
There is one other he's known as a thief. He's proclaimed as a thief. He likes to thief. But the most interesting part of him is that he has a fake French accent.
Yes, I was about to say he wants to be Lupin, right? Like the gentleman thief, and he like poses. That's the thing I know about Phantom X.
When asked about it, he goes, "Oh no," he admits it. He goes, "No, the accent's fake." I just find that when people hear a fake, I don't know if it's a fake French accent or specifically a French accent, it makes people annoyed, and when people are annoyed, they're off their game. So he can play people better if they're annoyed.
Phantom X is really an interesting character. He was the one that was like called in for Baby Apocalypse, right?
Yes, that's the beginning of Uncanny X-Force.
Yeah. I don't want to go too deep into Baby Apocalypse, but it's like,
well, because then he also raises Baby Apocalypse.
Yeah, so he actually...
Evan Sabanur.
Yes, Evan Sabanur.
We maybe can go into him another time.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Baby Apocalypse later.
So anyway, he ends up taking out Huntsman. He's the one that's... He sticks around. He's out of all the Weapon Plus that was created specifically from a Weapon Plus story. Yeah. He's the one that sticks out around the most. They say number 14 is the Cuckoos.
Yes, so the Cuckoos, we've mentioned them before. They're like, depending on the time in the comics, there's a number of them, usually 5.
Usually
the
5.
Set. Some of them die. They got better, but like
5 to 3.
5 to 3 is usually where
that's the number you're going to find. Sometimes one quits and walks away and comes back.
Yeah, they're different. And famously, one of them, Sophie, like a girlfriend of Quentin Quire, et cetera, et cetera.
That's who we're talking about in the Quentin Quire episode.
Yes. They were kind of made... They're based off of stolen DNA of Emma Frost. So, like, that's kind of all you really need to know about them. And also, their main goal as a weapon was to take down the Phoenix, to destroy the Phoenix. That was, like, the actual goal of that weapon program. Unfortunately for everybody, they made clones of Emma Frost.
Notable stubborn person, Emma Frost.
Notable, does not like to be ordered around, Emma Frost.
Can you imagine clones of her also don't like being ordered around?
Unbelievable, but true. Like, I actually love the incompetence of that. Like, truly do. Of like this government system that is like so dehumanizing that they don't even realize that, like, if you had spent 30 seconds being like, yeah, we're gonna make 5 clones of Emma Frost and have them outnumber us and tell them what to do, and like, this is gonna go abilities. Fine. Yeah. Terrible idea.
We have weapon 15, which is Ultimaton, which is more of like a sentinel.
He does get like sentience and like kind of,
because they all do.
Yeah, but like, he's a sentinel. I distinctly remember there's like one issue with him that was like, he was like, what am I doing? Like, he didn't want to hunt down. He's definitely one of the ones that were made to hunt down mutants, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. This was in New X-Men. This is when they went to the world, and
right. Yes.
The Assault on Weapon Plus was about Ultimaton.
Yeah.
Weapon 16 is called All God. It is a living religion.
Yes.
And a virus that attacks the faith reserve.
Yes.
So anybody who comes in contact with it believes and follows whatever All God wants.
Not everybody.
You're right. Not everybody. Do you remember who doesn't get affected by it?
If you are an atheist, are not affected.
That's what Phantomex says.
Yes.
And Novar, Marvel Boy, is in that story, and he's like, oh, we found a mathematical equation on the Kree homeworld that proves that God doesn't exist, and so I haven't ever believed in God. We get told that as a child.
No Kree. Doesn't affect any Kree, doesn't affect any atheists. It's really interesting. They are getting so weird with the weapon programs. One is just kind of like a thing that takes over people's minds and becomes like a mind hive. There is
there's more.
God. Anyway,
that's the numbering system has finished it now.
Yes, yes.
There is a weapon XXX, so 30. That is a big question mark at this point. It's been teased and never concluded. There is weapon Infinity, which it basically is turning. It's from an alternate timeline, an alternate future where all of the superheroes have been turned into Deathlocks.
Oh.
And then sent into our present. Once again, Uncanny X-Force.
Okay.
A lot of this stuff is Phantom X related, or specifically Remender wanted to use it.
To use this stuff.
You've got Weapon Minus, which was supposed to fight Weapon Plus. This is actually from a Captain America book with Dr. Mindbubble.
Dr. Mindbubble, huh?
Yeah, it's what happens when you mix super soldier serum and LSD. Kid you not.
Okay. Got it.
He blows bubbles out of his head that go over a person's head and then gives them their perfect dream.
Okay. Interesting.
And
listen, I read X-Men. I can't be shady on people's names.
No, right? I want to end with Weapon H. And Weapon H is an offshoot of the Weapon X program specifically, not so much Weapon Plus. This one is another offshoot. And it's from the Weapon X, one of the Weapon X storylines, which has Wolverine, Old Man Logan, specifically, formerly known as Wolverine, they always say in the issues, Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, Warpath, and Domino. It's that run.
Yeah.
And it starts with them being attacked by people that turn out to be Sentinels, essentially. They turn out to be robots. Mm-hmm. And they realize quickly that all these robots have Lady Deathstrike claws.
Yes.
And so they're like, oh no, they must have Lady Deathstrike. So basically the way the run goes, Weapon the Weapon X facility that is doing, I think they are called Weapon X at this point, because this is also where Stryker comes back. And he's actually working with Weapon X. So everything that happens in this movie is more accurate in a later time, a later book.
Yeah.
Basically, they're taking the powers from these 5 mutants and trying to put them in these robots. But the ultimate goal is to make a Hulkverine.
Yes. I once you said that, I was like, I read this.
You're like,
I remember this. Because the Hulk DNA is from Amadeus Cho.
Right.
Yes. It's from Amadeus Hulk. Yes.
It's from the what's his book called? It's Totally Awesome Hulk.
Yes, Totally Awesome Hulk.
So it started in Totally Awesome Hulk number 22 and continues. And what ends up happening is the one interesting thing is they keep going and going and going and trying to create this, and there's so many failures.
Yeah.
And they have 2 at the end when they're being assaulted by this. They kind of call themselves Weapon X too. Yeah. They're kind of an X-Force team.
Yeah.
Is more of what
they're
feel like.
100% an X-Force team. Yeah.
And there are 2 subjects. One is a true believer that Stryker has recruited. And they were thinking that if the person really believed in the cause of killing mutants, they'll be able to handle being a Hulk, essentially. They'll keep that anger going that will give them the strength they need. Because the thing about Totally Awesome Hulk is that he's a cool dude and doesn't have the full anger of a regular Hulk.
Right.
He's a smart guy who can turn into a Hulk and still be smart. Mm-hmm. So, there's a whole thing in the story about him not being his true self, essentially. The other one is a soldier that is like a soldier of fortune. He like works for a company like of mercenaries. And they were supposed to massacre a town, and he wouldn't do it, and he instead gunned his own men so they would stop the massacre. So that company goes, you know what? We're selling your contract to Weapon X. They can do whatever they want with you. So they turned him into a Hulkverine. Anyway, the story's interesting because you're not sure which one is going to make it, because like they have on all the covers like a Hulk Wolverine's going to happen. Like, you know, one's going to happen. It's just a matter of time at this point. Ends up being the soldier who has a conscience and not the loony zealot. Yeah. Essentially. He's still around. He's still kicking.
Okay, so that was my follow-up, because I don't think I ever, like, I read that and I never followed up on the Hulkverine. Yeah. But, like, yeah, that makes sense. He must still be around.
Because, like, Amadeus Cho doesn't want anyone dying.
Right.
Like, that's a whole thing about that story.
Like that. Yeah.
Like, he's keeping his eye on Sabretooth specifically. Yeah. To be like, don't kill people.
And because he is a Hulk, even if he's not as, anger powered as Bruce Banner, he can basically, what he wants usually happens.
Right. So Weapon H is sort of similar. He only kills when he has to, though. More like a soldier with a conscience and less of a killing machine that they want. Yeah. So the whole story is about him just trying to get away and not be part of that. Yeah. So one of the Weapon Plus stories, the one with the symbiotes, actually has Hulkverine in it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So like I stopped reading that issue to be like, I got to go read Weapon H real quick. Mm-hmm. But it's not a Weapon H book. It is a crossover between X-Force and Totally Awesome Hulk.
Totally Awesome Hulk, yeah.
So, like, you have to go find those issues if you're going to read that.
Yeah. And I distinctly remember, which I do believe they are on Marvel Unlimited if you do have that. Mm-hmm. But I remember because I was reading that X-Force run, and that's why I read because it was a crossover. I'm not usually a Totally Awesome Hulk reader.
No, but I wouldn't imagine so.
Though I do like Amadeus Cho.
Sure.
He's my favorite Hulk.
But he's still a Hulk, though. That's
not true. She-Hulk's my favorite Hulk, but he's my second favorite Hulk.
Yes, that is the right answer. So the interesting thing, the last thing I'll say about Weapon H is that his abilities are not just being a Hulk and a Wolverine, because he does have. Because one of the things they're like, well, his bones are covered in adamantium, but his human size does not match with his Hulk size. What happens to his bones? And they say specifically that's where Lady Deathstrike comes in. Her nanites are what are in him too. So it changes the size of his bones, just like her claws sort of come out of her fingers.
So
you don't like that?
I don't
remember
like that. I feel like, sometimes when I read stuff and I don't like it, I just ignore it.
This might be further in the story, though.
Maybe.
You might not have gotten to that part.
I was like, nanites. Okay. I remember that for Lady Deathstrike, I guess. Mm-hmm. But then why would you bother with the adamantium if you already had the nanites? You could have just made, like, Deathstrike
Well, are you supposed to put them? I guess that's true.
Right? Like, why would you bother doing both?
Because a Wolverine Hulk looks awesome.
Okay, fair.
Okay.
Caught.
He also has a healing factor, obviously being a Wolverine, but he has a probability field generator, just like Domino.
Really?
Yep.
I don't remember that. Okay. That's so fun.
So he's got all of their... which is funny, because I guess he didn't get Warpath, so he can't fly.
He's literally... Well, he's a Hulk. He can jump. It's fine.
Well, and that's what he does.
Yeah. He's just an X-Force team by himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, no, he's not bad. He's not like... I'd like to see more of him, and there are more books. I just did not have the time to start going through Weapon H runs. Yeah. There's Hulkverines and there's a Weapon H book at least, and I just did not. I read a lot.
We were talking about Weapon Plus, not a Hulkverine. Perhaps
he is Weapon H. I'm just saying, he is part of like. I wanted to even go into Helverine, but I didn't have. I ran out of time.
We're definitely out of time.
But anyway, so that is all of the weapons that have been created so far that I could find good information on.
I imagine that is going to grow significantly.
Either that, they're going to slot a few more people in.
Yeah. And because they've already explained, we actually didn't even talk about X-23 and Honey Badger and all of
no, that'll be in Logan.
We'll talk about that in Logan.
Yeah.
That's actually a great time for it. But like, because there are numbers.
We got time to talk about more Wolverine stuff in movies upcoming.
But just because there are numbers doesn't mean that there aren't subsets of the numbers.
Correct.
That's actually why you're like, why didn't you guys talk about 23? Because that's actually different.
Well, that's got its own story. That's why. So yeah, I mean that's it for now. We'll see where that goes.
All right. Well,
so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I'm producer James.
And I'm Sasha.
And we'll see you for the next 10.